Hello, this is Echoes of the Past podcast. I'm Ryan, a former fundie, now enthusiast of sacred text.
I'm MJ, a former cult member, sadly, but I'm willing to expand on my spiritual journey.
Yeah, well, this first episode, we're going to dive right into biblical inerrancy, probably one of those topics that, mind blown when we first heard it.
Heck yeah. So, are you all ready to go on this journey with us, along with us?
I'm ready.
All
I'm
right, I'm
ready.
gonna throw in a quick intro for y'all. Are you guys ready? Here we go.
Echoes of the Past podcast was such a fitting name, right? It touches on how we like to dig into past history, but also we're uncovering our own past of sorts.
Yeah, there are ideas that were off limits before because of my spiritual upbringing.
I believe you and I are going to have a great time delving into these topics without thoughts of punishment or retribution, which always held me back.
Yeah, Echoes of the Past will not only be our safe place for discovery, but hopefully our audience will be open minded with us and join us on these new ideas. What do you think about the name we chose?
So, do you remember when King David took a census of all the fighting men in the kingdom?
1 Corinthians 11:3 should be approached carefully, understanding its biblical context, its cultural background, and the principles of love.
Well, Yahweh murdered 70,000 people as punishment.
It literally is a matter of life and death, and it's important that everyone realizes the harm that shunning practices cause.
And we're going to use my book of Bible stories.
They don't believe in women in position of power. They don't even allow them to give speeches. They don't even allow them to pray.
There's been something I've wanted to share with you all. It's all about something I was indoctrinated to believe as a child. Wow. What an amazing intro. Those people sound
Hmm.
interesting.
They sound very, very interesting. And I don't know. I just, that dude there was handsome. I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just gotta say that and put that out there. Um, I'm glad that worked out because like we we're cool people, like that is something. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. If you enjoyed that, I hope so.
You
Put it in the
better have
comments.
enjoyed that.
Yeah, put that in the
That's what we're
comments.
trying to say is MJ worked very hard on that, so you better enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you better enjoy that. No,
I think
I'm
you did
just
a
playing.
great job, and I think it really sums up kind of who we are. And that one point that you mentioned about contextualizing,
Hmm.
I hope that we can contextualize in a different way. The Jehovah's Witnesses always said, oh, well, contextualization, you need to read the scriptures before and after.
Mm,
But I think they're also not considering the historical context. And that is something I hope that we can maybe bring
right.
in, the missing ingredient to the sauce.
Yeah, it's like how I said in the intro. There are a lot of things that were kept from us, and we're not allowed. Like we're not, we weren't allowed to dig into, like you were saying, the context of a scripture because they said that they know it all and they did all the
Um,
research. There's no need for us to do it. But then that always hits us in the head, like in the back of our brain, like, but why? Like there must be something. And we're human beings that just want to learn more. That's just what
mm,
we're that's how we're made. We just want to keep learning and learning and learning. And if we're kept from that, we're just gonna blow up. And I'm glad that now we have the freedom to do that because you'd be in trouble if you looked into the Bible and you looked
oh
into its
God,
history.
yeah.
You'd be in the back room getting slapped.
Right. There was going to be some kind of recourse from asking questions or
Yeah,
dissenting, whatever it was. If you don't agree, there's a problem. So you just
right.
agree.
You had to agree. You're pretty much forced to believe. I mean, or yeah, forced to believe, forced to have that faith, and forced to agree. But this is a podcast where we can just be free with those thoughts, have our own opinions,
Mm.
back it up with facts, and just interact with you guys. And maybe you guys have, thought the same thing, have had the same thoughts, and I've been afraid to feed off of that. And but here you're more than welcome. You could utilize the comment section, even if we're wrong.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, hey, just hit the comment section up and say, listen, I don't think that's true, or whatever, and just we'll interact with each other. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, is for something truly interactive where they can the audience can ask us questions, we can answer, but also it might be something where we're not sure. So it might be a topic for discussion at another time because it's such an interesting question that maybe we hadn't thought of.
Hmm.
Because I'm still new at this.
Yeah.
I will be uncovering evidence of different stories that I hadn't heard before for the rest of
Hmm.
my life, likely.
Yeah, I've when Ryan hit me up about wanting to do something like this, it was I felt scared. I'm gonna be telling you the truth. I'm
Oh,
not lying on
good.
that. I felt intimidated because you are a wonderful person, Ryan. You have knowledge,
Oh,
and I know a lot about the Bible. Like I know a lot, but the thing is, once I heard or saw videos from Ryan, her channel, and all that, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know a lot. There's more to like just the Bible, and that's the thing. We've been taught all our lives the Bible is everything,
mm.
but that's what today's topic is about. The Bible really isn't everything. There are errors, and there's room to analyze and figure out why those errors exist. My Spanish is kicking in, so I'm twisting my words a
Oh,
bit,
me
but
gusta.
but that's the point. I'm glad that Ryan reached out to me and we're doing this together because a little of what she knows, a little bit of what I know, we put that together and we make a masterpiece. So,
Boom. Right. We have all the ingredients to start making our own amazing tasting dish. And we don't have to exclude, like, like the Bible writers did, like those
oh, yeah.
who canonized everything, right? It
Hmm.
was completely exclusionary. They had an agenda, but we don't. We've left the agenda behind. At this point, the only agenda is figuring out what I believe and what makes me happy and comfortable. And I don't know a lot, but I
And
told
that's
people,
okay.
yeah, and that is okay. And I told people from the very beginning when I started to document my awakening, if you will, is I'm
Mm.
going to take you on it. And there's some videos where you literally see me crying because I'm like, oh my God, look at what I just learned. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm bringing you with me. So I know some things, but I truly don't know a lot. And what I do know, I'd love more opinions on.
Yeah.
Am I on course? Am I off course? What's the census here?
Right. I forgot that I actually have a little interface here that I can like throw in little sound effects on, and I
Oh,
wanted to throw a
snap.
little a clap on here. Can you guys hear that? Is it?
Oh, sound effects. I love it.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
that sucks. I can't hear it, but I hope you guys heard it.
Oh, we heard it. Yes, that was and it was a good like level sound
Okay.
volume too. Perfect.
Okay.
Nice job, MJ.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to start off that way, like
MJ.
introducing Ryan and MJ, and then the claps and the cheers, but I forgot. I'm sorry.
I'm sure Dan D and Punk to Pasture and the Compassion Apostate, I think they're probably applauding for us in the audience.
Yeah, let's see who's on here. So, like you said, Punk to Pasture. Good morning, Dan. What's up? By the way, this is a Ryan and MJ show. This doesn't mean I run it or Ryan runs it. We run it together.
Yes. Yes, we want all
Yeah.
equal.
Yes. So if you see me talking to the chat, that's because I I'm used to it because of my life. I
No,
don't want
and that's what I want. I really do want us to interact.
to. Hmm.
Um, like obviously it's going to be us two talking. It's our show.
Hmm.
But their involvement is kind of quintessential in the waking up process because I'm still waking up. I'm still evolving from this mess. And there's been a lot of points that I've never thought about until somebody said like, "Hey, what about this?"
Hmm.
And then that's when the gears start to click and I'm like, "Oh, snap, there's a whole nother level to this."
Yeah.
So we all play an important role in this
Yeah.
discovery, self-discovery.
Yeah. You know, there's something when I was a ministerial servant before. And so I used to give shepherding calls. So I used to help the brothers and sisters, give them, I don't know how it is in English, but, or just help them with their self confidence or whatever. And they would cry. If they would cry, they would also feel, awesome about our conversation and feel a lot better spiritually, emotionally, whatever.
Mm.
And I used to also feel that, I love to, because sometimes a lot of us, we hide like our emotions, we keep
Oh
hidden,
yeah.
and then we self-destruct when we're on our own, and we don't really get to hear that side of us, our own emotions, until we express it and we tell others and how they should better themselves. And when we hear it come out of our mouth, then it's like, that's true, and it helps us as well. So by this doing this podcast, not only will we be sharing information with you guys, but it'll also help us with our own understanding, even though we're the ones that are, portraying it. And that's the best part about this community, this XJW community. If you're not an ex Jehovah's Witness, or maybe you're a current Jehovah's Witness, just to know a little thing about XJWs, we're a huge community full of love, and we don't hate on each other. We all know we come from different backgrounds. We all have different faiths, because once you leave, some become atheists, some become agnostic. It doesn't. But the best part is we come together and we share that experience. And because we can't do it with our fellow Jehovah's Witnesses, we can't express our feelings because we'll get shut down. But at least here we're a big family. That's the key here. We have to treat each other like family. You don't like what I say, you tell it to me, but in a nice way. You don't like what Ryan says, you tell it to her in a nice way. If I'm ugly, just say it privately.
Stop. Be constructive.
Yes, it's constructive. Yes.
I can handle any kind of opinion. I really can. If you're constructive about it. If the only reason that you're giving me the information is to like cut me down, that's completely different. But as you said, expressing ourselves,
Hmm.
I am very unfamiliar with expressing myself. And that might be like, yeah, right, Ryan, I've seen your videos. You're very expressive.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about how I feel about things, my actual opinion, my emotions, because only certain things are acceptable inside of the cult,
Yeah.
right? You can only feel there's a limit to the emotions that you have. If you're mad, if you're sad, whatever, because you always have to be relegated to that. Well, you've got
Hmm.
Jehovah, you got to lean into, you got to have a better relationship. You better go out in field service,
Yeah.
and everything else is just kind of diminutive. It's not important anymore. You're supposed to be apathetic to it and
Yeah.
ignore your emotions. So this is new territory for me to be able to be honest and like, hey, this confused me. I still don't get it,
Yeah. And
but
that's
it will help you grow as a person if we can be honest.
definitely. Sorry. Yeah. Definitely. Um, we're all little babies. We're
I
still
know,
learning.
baby.
Just, I mean, especially me. I'm just a year out of the Jehovah's Witness
Yeah.
lifestyle, so I'm new. So there's also a lot that I need to unpack, because a lot of that's what 30 something years I've been in that religion, and all that's been fed to me, and it's just I'm still unpacking. But today we're gonna talk about Bible inerrancy. That is something. Ooh, like I don't know, Ryan. Like when you grew up, you were told that our Bible is the truth.
Yep.
And then when you go knocking on doors, you were to preach that every other Bible is the same. So it's like, which is it? Is it every other Bible is the same, or is our Bible just not the same? So which is it? And we all know that the New World Translation Jehovah's Witness Bible has a lot of errors, a lot of contradictions. But this isn't about the New World Translation. This is about the Bible overall.
Yeah.
Every Bible, the claim that the Bible is inerrant. If you guys don't know what inerrant means, I have a definition. I don't know if Ryan wants to elaborate.
No, go. That's a good idea. We should all be operating on the same idea of what inerrancy means. So I think it's good to have a description. That's perfect.
Yeah. So it refers to the fact that the Bible is infallible, that there's no room for errors. I know, I know that when I heard the word inerrancy, to me it was like finding out that Area 51 exists, because in the Spanish culture, big words like that are like, what the hell is that? And so this was like so
form.
alien to me and
Hmm.
utterly mind-boggling because I did not know what the hell inerrancy meant. But I have the definition here. It says it refers to the belief that the Bible is without error in matters of faith, doctrine, and morals. It asserts that the Bible is completely accurate in everything it teaches. But here we are to debunk that theory. So I hope you guys are ready for the ride.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So
And
uh,
inerrancy basically removes the human element.
the what?
It removes the human element to it.
Yeah.
It's saying that when I picked up the pen, Yahweh was with me, and I could not be feeling sick that day. I couldn't be having an off day. I couldn't be I don't have an
Hmm.
agenda. Social economic ideologies weren't affecting me. Like there's so much they take out of it.
Yeah.
And why didn't God just pick up the damn pen himself?
Right. Exactly. That is so true. And then you have religion itself, where they will teach that the Bible, they'll say the Bible, the Bible is their authoritative figure. Sometimes that could be a dangerous thing, but in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, they claim that, but it's the governing body. They're the
Right.
authoritative figures in this. I lost this page. What the heck? So I'm gonna have to go back to it. So I made a quick slideshow of
Oh,
what I
snap.
want.
Okay.
It's no, don't. It's not even that big of a deal. I literally have like 3 slides, and I will apologize, you guys. I have been in a real mess this week and a half, close to 2 weeks. It's been really, really stressful
Yeah,
and
you can.
devastating. I have to emphasize that word devastating because it's really that bad. And so I haven't had time to do anything, but I was willing to still come on today and talk to you guys. So these slides that I have aren't that big of a deal, but it is what it is. I just figured I give you guys something at least to look at because hearing words and
I'm a
whatever
visual.
exactly
I'm a
and
visual learner. Like I like to touch. I like to see it.
exactly. There's a way to oh yeah, there is a way. Slides. See, that's cool. Okay. I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah. Hmm.
So you can actually add your actual slides to the StreamYard, so you don't have to share the actual website.
Yep.
That's freaking cool.
And
All right.
there's shortcuts too on the keyboard, which are also helpful if you learn them, because instead of having to click present, you can just shift S or shift whatever, and it brings it right up.
Yeah. So I figured I'd start from the very beginning.
Why
Sorry,
not?
I'm stuffy and I got allergies, so I apologize if you see my eyes wet or I'm just sounding all
You're just
muzzled.
crying because this is a beautiful situation. Learning from each other.
Right. So the creation story, we all know what the creation story is about. I'm not gonna read the entire book for you. If you don't know what the creation story is, you don't know what Genesis is. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Where have you been?
So we all know that on day one. Do you guys see it right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
So on day one, first of all, I titled this Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2 because this is where the freaking meat is. Like, this is a contradiction between what Genesis 1 says and the contradiction between what Genesis 2 says. So, we're all familiar with the creation story. God created everything in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh day. And on that seventh day, he made it holy, calling it the Sabbath. We all know that, right? This is where it starts. However, we're going to talk about day 6 specifically.
Okay.
Day 6, it says here, God creates land animals, including livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals. Then God creates mankind in his own image, both male and female, and gives them dominion over all other creatures. God blesses them and commands them, sorry, to be fruitful and multiply. So in Genesis 1, God's laying down the blueprint for creation. And then when he gets to day 6, he creates animals and then humans. Okay. But next slide, right? We come to, oh yeah, this is the slide I forgot to mention. So this is the slide where Adam is created alongside the animals. This is a sexy version
Why is
of,
it so white?
right? Could he have been like I don't know,
I think he would have got
Hispanic.
burnt. I'm just saying, over in the Middle East, that color might be getting cancer pretty quick.
This man is like embodies perfection. Look at him. I mean,
If that's
his left
perfection,
breast is bigger than his right. Is that was that a thing back? So we all have it. We're all imperfect then, I guess, because
I'm
that
just
is
curious if
perfection.
his dangalang is swangalanging right next to that elk
Do
or
you look?
whatever.
Yeah, look at the elk. The way he's looking, he's like, "Get me out
He's
of here."
like, dude, can you please put some pants on? He looks
Can you? Can you? Can you eat that damn apple so you can put your clothes on?
please get your hand off my back. I know there's no women around here, but look, I'm not into humans.
Oh man. So see, we make this fun, you guys.
Oh.
Now to the boredom.
Right, that's right.
So Genesis 2 says otherwise. So how does it say otherwise? Well,
Oof.
this is all right. When I understood Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, I thought that it was just Genesis 2 elaborating on the story of Genesis
Yeah.
1 until I dug deeper and I realized it's not only digging deep, but it's also basically creating a different version of that story. So in Genesis 2, God, we all understand. Okay, God forms Adam from the dust of the ground. That's the elaboration right there, because he said the Genesis 1 says that he just created man and women, but this is like a more elaborated. God forms Adam from the dust of the ground. He breathes life into him and puts him in the garden. Now we understand Adam is there just chilling out, like Ryan says, with his wang out, and naming animals. That's the important part right here. He's naming animals, the story we are all used to hearing. And then in Genesis 2, specifically verses 18 and 19, this is what it says. It says that the animals, I mean, Adam came first and then the animals, because it reads, the Lord God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Now, the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So this is a little contradicting, because we understand that the helper would be the woman. That's what we've been taught, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we understand now that Adam was alone. He needed a partner. So that partner ended up being Eve. But the Bible literally stated that it was the animals that were his helper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20. This is what verse 20 says. Verse 20 talks about, so the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. Key point here. Animals were made to be Adam's helper, but that God says no suitable helper was found for him. So in verse 19, God creates animals, but in verse 20, he realizes that the animals they were basically nothing for Adam.
So God didn't know the difference between human anatomy and animals' anatomy, and that picture could be pretty accurate of Adam putting his arm on an animal, going like, "I guess it's me and you, pal."
Yep, yep. So it's like, so you have one side of the issue where Genesis 1 is claiming that Adam was created after the animals, but then in Genesis 2, it's claiming that he was created after the animal. I mean, before the animals.
And they were brought
Wait,
to
did I say that
him.
right?
Yes,
Bef-
yes. The
okay.
second one, they were brought to him because he was created first. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Now, the other issue that I have is that in Genesis 1, God creates man and woman simultaneously. But we obviously read that animals, it was man, animals, and then women, right?
In the first one or the second one?
The second one. The second one, well, it was, the first one was man and woman were created simultaneously, but then in the second chapter, the woman was the last thing created. Now, what I don't understand and what it contradicts is that there are 6 days of creation, right? And then on the seventh day you have rest.
Right.
But it doesn't explain that very well in the second chapter. It just says that the man and then the animals are created, and then sometime after was when the woman came. So, which is it? Did she come during the, like, later at night? Did she come days later? That's where the contradiction comes in, because we understood that days are one day, and we know that one day is one day because not we understand the Bible talks about a day for a year and blah blah blah, but we're still in Genesis, meaning each day had light and darkness, day and night. So that symbolizes one day.
Right.
So this is basically saying, like, it could either be where Eve was created at night or days later. That's what contradicts, because day seven was when he rested. He can't just like get up, and just be like, let's just make this woman. Like, it doesn't add up. I don't know what your thoughts on this. If you understood this,
Wow.
Ryan, did anybody ever know about this
I
contradiction?
never, dude, I have to tell you, I feel so silly because I saw things that weren't right,
Mm-hmm.
but I had no idea the level of I didn't even know that between chapter to chapter in the same book, they would contradict each other. So, like you said, I thought Genesis 2 was just an elaboration, give a little more details. I had
Right.
no idea that the sequence was so out of order. I didn't even realize that Eve
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there when God gave the instructions. Like, there's so many differences between the two stories. They are not harmonious whatsoever. But
Right.
because of the Jehovah's Witness literature, the way they're able to just cherry pick the Bible verses and then put it together and restructure it and reinterpret it, you just trust what they say. You don't really
Mm-hmm.
read the Bible on your own
Right.
to even notice those differences.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. It's like that's that. They say context is everything. Context is everything. But sorry, I wanted to say the N word here with an A at the end. But like, context, we're doing the context right here. Like, and then this is what we come up with. And yet, if we were to bring this to the table, we'd be kicked out. But I have other topics that I want to talk about. But I figure I give the mic to Ryan so she can dabble a
I,
little bit.
I just want to read this. The compassionate apostate says, God, what do you want to name this one? Adam. Bird. God, what about this one? Adam. Bird. Okay.
You
No,
got.
man, this cannot be a bird. And Adam's like, bird. And then it's funny because, like, bird is a term that people use for women sometimes, like bird.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like that would have worked. Like, Eve's that, look at that bird.
The
Um,
bird is the word.
Bird is the word. Yeah, there are so many contradictions between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. And then, at some point, we're going to come back to the story in one of our podcasts and we'll discuss like what we interpret the allegory of, like, what is the story really trying to tell us?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Likely not some kind of accurate depiction of how the earth was created. So, what are we supposed to, like, what esoteric meaning are we meant to derive from it?
And before I sorry to cut you off, just this
Nope.
is really fast. This is just Genesis, you guys. Like, we're in the very beginning, and there's already something up.
27 minutes in and we're still,
Like,
there's
there's
a
a
lot.
lot. There are, what, I don't know how many books. What, 66 books? I think. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but there is this. This is only
And it's
Genesis. Like,
not,
there's a lot more to unpack. I don't. I don't. I don't know.
no,
That.
that maybe in the whole Bible. Yeah, and then there are different Bibles, like the Catholics,
Oh yeah.
apocryphal books that we don't have. The
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopian Bibles have all kinds of extra text that, we took out. So, I mean, there's so
Right.
much to explore here when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
inerrancy and whatnot. Actually, just because of time, do you think we should probably just go into the census? Because I think
Yeah.
that one is also another
Okay.
big. So
Yeah.
why don't we go into that?
Yeah.
Give me a second, y'all. I was going to talk about some of the differences between what Jesus says, and I say Jesus because I don't believe we really have any accurate writings of his, versus what Paul says. But
Mm-hmm.
instead, because this census, there is such a critical difference in why the census was started for, David.
Yeah.
I think it's important to
Very, very, very important.
It's important to differentiate. So this one, which one am I on? Okay, cool. Actually, let's go to, I want to look at Samuel first, since it's
Samuel,
likely that
yeah.
Samuel is the one that was written first.
Hmm.
Just so everybody knows that even though Chronicles and Samuel has a lot of the same stories, and the stories are different, a lot of details are different, they were likely written in different time periods. I don't remember exactly when, but I know that Samuel was first and is likely towards the more monarchic period,
Yeah.
whereas Chronicles came after the exile, after the Babylonian exile. So we're talking that's probably like 400
Y-
BCE, where um, Samuel is maybe 7th century-ish, maybe before. Like it's all
Yeah.
interwoven. So who's to really say?
Right, exactly. Just Google it.
Yeah, just and sadly, even when you Google, you might not even get accurate information, but it'll be better information than what you will find in the Jehovah's Witness Bible, because
Hmm.
they'll just tell you that this was all written like ninth century,
Oh, yeah.
9th century and
They're
stuff.
always off.
They're way off.
Nebuchadnezzar was 19th century. The years that they give him, it's just so off. It's not even funny.
Yeah, which is why probably a lot of times they erased or just completely changed the name of
Hmm.
like the pharaoh or the king or whatnot to fit the time period that they're trying to get the story to work in.
Yeah.
So are you all in the audience, are you all familiar, I'm sure you are, with the census that David took and what happened subsequently because of this census? According to Samuel, Yahweh was angry and incited. Look who's here. Yahweh was angry, so he incited David to do something basically that was detestable to Yahweh, which was take a census.
Hmm.
Now, MJ, I'd love to know why you think taking a census was an issue. Like, what's all the hubbub, bud?
Well, Yahweh was to be all knowing and powerful, right?
You
So
don't say.
by David taking a census is basically a slap to the face because he's basically saying that he doesn't trust in Jehovah's or Yahweh's power. He doesn't trust that he has enough people to go to war with.
Ooh, right.
So Yahweh was pretty angry about that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest part is David was entrusting his power, his prowess, his entire kingship basically was relying on the fact how many fighting men I got. Like who can beat me?
He's doubting.
He's doubting that Yahweh is with him because there are other scriptures. I actually wrote it down. There's a scripture in Psalm 20, verse 7 says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God.
Hmm.
So David was entrusting the safety of his people to chariots. And Yahweh was like, bitch, in the blink of an eye, like I can take y'all out.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is why the punishment was to annihilate 70K, because he was like, look, the people that you just counted that you thought were going to like do something, were about it. Yeah, bye, bitch.
Right, right.
So you should not doubt me, because even if it was just one man, and that was what Psalms was talking about, even if it was just a couple people up against a huge army, if God is on your side, you will win.
Hmm.
So that was why Yahweh had some divine retribution. Okay, moving on to Chronicles, though.
First Chronicles.
First Chronicles 21. This says the chronicler has a completely different theological idea happening.
Yeah.
And it's Satan who incited David to take the census. Now, what do you think? When is the first time that you noticed that? And like, what were you thinking? Because that
Right.
made me go like, wait, who are they worshiping? What's happening?
Exactly. Like what? Like these are and this could have been like a story told to kids at bedtime, like during that era. Like, oh, back in the day, Satan stood up. But then in Samuel, you're saying, oh, it was the Lord, it was Yahweh. So it's like, it gets you questioning, like, okay, damn, wait a minute. Were they the same person?
Yeah, that is what I thought. And I had even made a video about that saying, look, between these two scriptures, same story, but one is Yahweh being the bad guy and the other one is Satan being the bad guy. Who is it? Are they both the same person? And now I realize that it's basically people looking back in time, right? The chronicler is looking back in time at whatever bad things happened, and he's thinking, who can I put the blame on?
Right, right.
Who can be at fault for all the bad stuff instead of accepting responsibility for whatever it is that they might have done wrong? It's easier to point the finger and give blame to something else.
That's why I always say, like, to be a good God means you have to do everything good. So anything bad that you do as a God, you have to automatically think, oh, then it wasn't God that did it. It had to have been the devil because the devil's all bad. So in order for them to say, oh, this happened, well, it wasn't Yahweh. It can't be.
Couldn't be.
Had to have been, and that's how you have to define everything in the Old Testament. Whenever something bad happened, then you know it can't be God. It can't be the Father of Jesus Christ. It just can't. It's impossible. I mean, Jesus says that the Father is greater than He is. So do the math, people. As David explained, do the math.
Do the math. Right. And as you have to remember also that the time period that the chronicler is writing is after that, what they consider to be divine retribution of losing their temple, being displaced to a completely different country, being embarrassed, all the things that happen to you during expulsion, which is horrendous. Even if it's, thousands of years ago, that must have been absolutely, difficult. It
Yeah,
was pretty typical,
yeah.
but these people wanted to understand what led us down this path. And previously, they had thought that, Yahweh was the one doing these incitings and change of heart after being punished.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh God, it couldn't be God. Our God loves us. God could never, 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 ever in a million years. This had to be some kind of evil force."
Heck yeah.
And I completely get it. It makes
It
sense.
Right. And I'm not trying to jump the gun here or change topics. Actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. The
Go for it.
you guys have to recount the account on King Saul and everything that he went through. Yahweh, I keep saying Jehovah, it's the same person. Yahweh was instructing King Saul to go and destroy the Amalekites, right? And
Mhm.
he's telling him, hey, listen, kill everybody, even the king, all the livestock, everything. And the children, just
And
utterly
the kid,
destroy them.
right?
And Saul's like, he gets there and he's like, I'm thinking Yahweh would be so happy if I keep this livestock for him as sacrifice and I take the king, you know? Let's see. Let's see what happens, right? So he goes and he brings back the king and the livestock. Yahweh's furious. And he sends his prophet Samuel to go up to Saul and be like, listen, Yahweh's pissed off right now because you did this and you did that. He's going to strip you from your rulership. You're no longer king. And by the way, that king you brought, bring him to me. And then so he goes and Yahweh instructs Samuel to kill and chop the king to pieces, right? Saul is devastated. He feels like he failed Yahweh miserably. What does Yahweh end up doing? Yahweh ends up sending evil spirits to taunt Saul for the rest of his life. This is something that the Chronicle era, those people understood when it was the devil who incited David to take a census, because there's no way that Yahweh could punish David for something like this so drastically. And for Yahweh to send evil spirits to King Saul to taunt him enough for King Saul to feel so devastated that he had to have David come and play the harp for him to calm him down says a lot, because we're nowadays as Jehovah's Witnesses praying to a God that did this in the past. And if you're praying and you're praying and you're praying, and they always say, oh, just, give it some time, just keep praying, eventually Jehovah will bless you, but nothing comes, that's because of that, because Jehovah doesn't give a shit about you. That's just that's the proof. That's the proof. All you proof you need. You just gotta read in context and decipher or unpack and do the math. I just keep saying
And
that.
do them, but this is, and also too, like the theological implications of Satan, right?
Yeah,
Before, I just thought Satan was out and about everywhere. I thought he was all throughout the Bible, like everywhere.
yeah.
Now that I'm reading the Bible, I've noted, especially looking at the Tanakh. So at the Hebrew Bible, not necessarily the New Testament, but the Hebrew Bible, looking at the Tanakh,
Mm-hmm.
the scriptures are fairly ambiguous about Satan. They mention him in good instances where he's a helper to Yahweh. They they don't name, there's no name given to him. He's just a ha Satan, the adversary, or the devil's advocate, if you will. So he's meant to be like any good friend. In some ways, will probably play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Right? Like when MJ comes to me with a problem, if I'm a good friend, I'm like, well, have you thought about this? Well, what if it's because of that? And you could think like, oh, maybe they're stirring the shit, or they could also be getting you to think of things you hadn't before.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, was Satan's position. He was at God's right hand. Hey, I need a spirit to go check out this king. Who can go give him an evil word? Who can go lie to him for me? And Satan's like, I got you, bud. Right?
Yeah.
Satan comes up to him about Job, like, yo, you think this guy is good? I'm not sure. I think he's only good because you're giving him good shit. You're giving him a good paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might want to check this fella out. So he's not necessarily a bad guy, but in this scripture, we see a little bit of a turn. Now we see that Satan is, I mean, and this doesn't necessarily mean that what he was doing was nefarious. It could mean that Yahweh incited him. This was another instruction for Ha-Satan, the
Mm-hmm.
devil's advocate, to do. See if David will pass the test, just like he did with Job. I want you to whisper in his ear. Is he going to go for it? What will happen? And I think that's such, like, for me, I think that's so cool to watch how who Satan is kind of starts to change. And then when you get into the New Testament, I mean, it just really takes off.
Yeah.
Now he's the scapegoat for everything. It's like, yeah, let's throw this guy under the bus. He don't even have a damn name, but
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be the reason for all our problems. So we don't have to face what we've done wrong.
Right. And that reminds me of the Genesis story with the snake.
Yeah.
I mean, we're saying that Satan, well, the witnesses will say that Satan lied, that he's a liar, that he told Eve that, but he said exactly what exactly happened, right? He said, if you eat from the tree, you will be like God, knowing good and
Know it.
evil. That's exactly what happened. He said that once that happens, you'll be enlightened. Well, that's what happened. They were enlightened with that knowledge. So it's like you have to really figure out and read the scriptures carefully over and over and over, and realize that this character that the devil is being portrayed as, some may think, oh, maybe he's not that bad, but or maybe he's just got bad luck.
Maybe.
But that's how they're gonna paint him as an evil person. My friend used to tell me there are always two sides to every story. Why is it that we all know Jehovah's story, but we never get to really see the Satan side of things? We're not saying that Satan is a good person and that we're gonna worship him now, but that's the whole point to this topic today is to look at the contradictions, check out the errors, and really unpack what the scripture's really trying to tell us, because we can't just go and be like, well, this says this, then this is what this means. Like, we have to really dig deep. That's the point. We're digging deep in this podcast.
Right. We're really contextualizing. We're not just contextualizing within the scripture itself. We are actually drawing upon these as real people
Hmm.
instead of just like looking at MJ's content and sussing out who he is, right? Because that'll give us some of who you are watching your content. But actually
Short
going to
Puerto
talk.
Rican. Have you seen me stand? Nope, you haven't seen me stand yet.
But we do have a picture of you and me together.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Next show, we will show you the picture of MJ and I standing next together.
Yep,
But I love
yep.
you, MJ. I think you're
Thank
you're
you.
a really good person, and I think this will be fun exploring with you because I do see that you as an open-minded person. I am as
Yeah.
well. I of course I have my opinions, and of course as I learn things, I'm going to tell you my opinion.
Right, right.
That doesn't mean that I can't be swayed and that I'm not open to other newer information. But truly contextualizing and not being afraid to look deeper, because before I would be those fears would hold me back. Am I doing something that Satan will be like, she's the girl, let's send some demons her way? That would truly be my thought process. But now, since that does not hold me back, I have no fear. I
Hmm.
can analyze things with the freedom.
Right.
And that's what I want to do with you, with the audience.
Exactly. Like, there are a lot of beliefs that I have that may be uncomfortable for some, or right on par with others, and I want to have finally the liberty to just say them on this podcast. Not in a way where it's gonna destroy the podcast. I'm not gonna go crazy and be like, I sit in a corner and I praise Legion the demon. Like, I'm not gonna be saying stuff like that. I'm gonna be careful with what I say. But a lot of what I say, if it does feel uncomfortable for you, instead of just clicking off or being angry about it, ask yourself, why does he think that way? There has to be a reason why he thinks that way. So, just food for thought. I just figured I'd let you guys know. If I do say something that makes you uncomfortable, you can also tell me right here on the chat. I know I say things uncomfortably because I've been sweating here thinking I said something wrong earlier. But just tell me, just utilize the.
Oh, I'm always going to get shit wrong. Be prepared for me to switch out a name, say the wrong date.
Right, right.
It's going to, we are enthusiasts. You can consider what we do education, because we are enlightening and opening people's eyes, right? Like,
Yep,
we're
yep.
educating ourselves as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a correctness to anything. Most things when it comes to the Bible is interpretation. The Bible is just hundreds and hundreds of different authors' opinions, and including the opinion of the scribes and those who edited and redacted, right? They also too took a part in controlling the narrative. So
Yeah.
you take Ryan's words that she writes down, and then you take some dude hundreds of years later who just adds a word here, flips a word. And we've seen in school, like, what's that sentence where let's eat grandma, and then you
Oh,
add the comma, let's eat grandma. Simple word changes
yeah.
and punctuation can make a huge difference in how something is interpreted.
Heck yeah. Very, very true. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the time. I think we're ending, right? We're
Yes,
closing.
we are going to be about a 45-minute show, y'all. So something a little quicker, digestible is what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to be wrapping it up.
Right. we have a lot of. I mean, I had a lot of topics. Ryan had a lot of topics, but you know, we want to make this short and sweet, and we want it to come off or come across as sour first and then sweet. We're Sour Patch Kids.
That's great.
So, but we appreciate that you guys have come on. I mean, we had a good audience today. We apologize if you guys stayed interested and now we're just shutting it down. But I mean, at least you guys got some information out of us that maybe you didn't know about before. Again, utilize the comment section. Let us know if what we said helped you. And we're gonna be doing this every Monday. Mondays at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. We have about. Should I tell them how many episodes we have lined up?
Yeah. Yeah, we have 10.
Okay. We have 10 episodes lined up for y'all. And it's going to be fun. A lot of the time we spent here was just introducing ourselves and being a little funny. But as we go along, it's going to be more topic based. So topic heavy. And yeah, I mean, Ryan, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, just for Commander Tango, I promise you that we're not ignoring you, but we do have a time frame that we want to stick to. If you rewind, we give you, I think, 4 examples technically, if you considered Genesis 1, Genesis 2, and then Samuel and Chronicles. I
Yeah.
guess really 2 examples. But we gave you 2 examples of
Two.
2
Two.
examples of
This is how she tells her
differences.
peace out. I don't know how you do that all the time. Like two. Like I don't know. That's funny. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, it's Memorial Day?
Is it? Yes, it is Memorial Day
Oh,
today.
shoot. I forgot about that. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a great day. And just to wrap it up, I think that we mostly what we want to say is we just want to critically think. We want to open our mind. The Bible is very complex, right, Pickles? Um, and I don't want to oversimplify things, but sometimes the correct answer is just a very simple answer of a different varying opinion that doctrine is able to smooth out
Yep,
and stop you from questioning. But if you
definitely.
remove that protective layer, that candy shell, you get the ooey gooey center, which is very plastic and pliable.
Yes, just keep licking and you'll get to the center of the
How
Tootsie
many
Pop.
licks does it take to get to the center of doctrine?
Doctrine. Yes, yes. Just keep licking, you guys.
You'll get there.
So, Commander Tango asks, how do we get in contact with Commander Tango? Which is a he or her. I have no idea. So, we will be putting our information in the description. We have our own YouTube channels. I believe I have my email up. Yes, I have my email up there. You can contact me, email me. And yes, our information will be on there. You can hit us up. We have a, well, I don't know. I got to figure things out, but do you think we're going to have our own Discord for the public? We're going to have people hit
Oh,
us up on there and have like a live chat with people. I'm not sure yet. We're maybe that's something we can
that is a
just
question.
discuss and let you guys know at a later time. But for the time being, you can contact us on our YouTube. We have our emails listed on there, and I'll even put it on the description of this video as well. And yeah, that's all I have to say. That's all MJ has for you.
And I think that probably wraps it up. We will be here next week. We hope you come and join. And Commander Tango, maybe if you make it on time at 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, you can ask your questions, and we will have time to discuss.
She's like, stop coming late.
Show up on time. You're gonna
Oh
get in
man,
trouble.
listen, we were late as ourselves. It was my fault, but it is what it is. Things
But
happen.
we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for coming, MJ. This was awesome. I think we did great for our very first show. Our goal is to open your minds as we open our own through this journey of self discovery. And please come with us. We want you there. We want you to
Yes.
witness our crazy.
Please make us less crazy than what we are already. We love you guys. Peace
Bye.
out. See you
Peace
guys
out.
next week.
Echoes of the past.
Echoes of the past.
Echoes.